Hello, my name is Ruth and you're welcome to my channel. This tutorial contains every other details you need in making a ball dress, aside from how to cut out the basic bodice for a little child. Alright, I made this for a 1 year old and I'll also be giving you instructions on how to cut it out. And I already started making it before I decided to film it into a tutorial for you all to enjoy. So aside from the basic bodies, every other detail you need in making this ball dress is complete in this tutorial. So if you're interested, join me. To cut out the basic bodies for a 1 year old child, I made this ball dress for a 1 year old. Basically, the standard measurements for their bodies is always in between 7 and 8 inches, alright? So the total measurement I used here was 8.5. The allowance inclusive, alright? So I'll be using half inch to join it at the shoulder and half inch to join the bodies to the flay. So I'll be left with 7.5 once I'm done. Now this is the back, this is the front as well. I've already cut them out, I've torn them, and I've also torn the armor. It's going to be a sleeveless dress. So I'll go ahead now and couple the sides. So I thought to also mention that children varies in height. So if you have the opportunity to measure the child you are making the outfit for, please go ahead and measure their half length, alright? But basically, between 7 and 8 inches is where their bodies fall. That's from their shoulder to their waist, okay? You can make use of in between 7 and 8 inch for that. So let's couple. Now this is what the back looks like. I'll be coupling the back now to the front. So you want to make sure that you open it up. We'll be making all our sewings hidden. So we're making use of the knit finishing method to achieve this ball dress, okay? So place the right side of the fabric for the back on the right side of the fabric for the front, okay? So while you are coupling it, you want to make sure that the edge where the armor meets is even, okay? So that your outfits will be complete and correct when you're done coupling. For the lining as well, repeat the same thing. Place the right side of the lining on the right side of the other side of the lining. Then just pin them down before you start coupling. Also, when you're holding your lining, make sure it's not so tight. So let's go ahead and impute our measurements. So I made it of 21 inches for the circumference of the bust. I will also be imputing the same 21 inches at the waistline, okay? So I imputed 21 divided by 2 gave me 10.5. What I have left, I just divided it into 2. So I had 3.5 left. So I divided that 1.5 and quartered into 2. I imputed it at the waistline and also at the bust line. So I'll be repeating the same thing on the other side as well. Depends on the size of the child. That's why you need to measure, or if you can't get their measurement, there's a size chart that works for every child aside from the chubby ones, okay? So I made use of 21 inches. For a 1 year old, you want to make their measurements in between 20 to 22 inches. Their dresses are not fitted because they are after their comfort more than any other thing. So you want to make it in between 19 to 21 inches, okay? So I just go ahead and couple them. Once I was done, we'll be cutting out the two nets for the down part now. For the two nets, I made use of 8 yards of fabric because I want it to be very full. So I bought 8 yards of two nets, and the gown length was 27 inches. The bodice, which is my shoulder to my waist, was 7.5. So I'll be deducting that 7.5 from my total gown length of 27 inches. I had 19.5 inches left. I added 2 inches, 2.5 inch more to the allowance, half inch for joining at the upper part, and 2 inches to help the gown length to be flowing. So you want it to be at least more than the normal ankle length measurement, okay? So by the time I was done, I achieved 22 inches. So now I want my layers to be just two layers, okay? You can make yours 3 layers, but I want mine to be 2 layers. You can even make it one layer, all right? But the more the layer, the more the fullness and the beauty you get from it. So I just cut out, I'm cutting out length of 22 inches for this now, and I'm making use of just 2 layers. Now for the two nets, you can even work in between 5 yards to 10 yards depending on how full you want it to. The net is 22 inches in length. Our length is 22 inches in length. So I'm going to be cutting out the lining for this now. I'll just make it 2 inches so that's how I'm making the length 20 inches. I'll be making use of a satin fabric as the lining. So now to cut out the lining, remember the two net length is 22 inches. So I'll be making it 2 inches shorter. I'll be making it 20 inches. Then for the width, I'm going to be making use of the length of my satin fabric. The length is usually between 57 and 60 inches. Okay, so that's what I'll be using as the length. So once I cut this out, I'll gather it. So for my net now, I'm going to be running a loose stitch at the upper part. Okay, you can either use either side of the net for it. So I'll just run a loose stitch from the beginning to the end. So I'm running a loose stitch on all the 8 yards of the two nets. Okay, once you're done, you should achieve something like this. Now you just want to keep pulling. Once you're done sewing, those threads that pop out either from the beginning or the end of your sewing, just pick either of the two. Just pick one and just keep pulling like you see me do. Pull it carefully to gather it. Now we are gathering this to 23 inches. How did I come about to this 23 inches? Remember, the waist circumference for the bodice is 21 inch. So you need 1 inch on each side for your zipper allowance. So that means our zip allowance is 2 inch. Then the waist circumference is 21. 21 plus 2 will give you 23 inches. So you need 23 inches for your two nets. You also need the 23 inches for your satin as well. So for the satin as well, I've also gathered it to 23 inches. For the satin, you can either make it gathers or pleats like you see I did. So this is 23 inches. By the time I will hold it with 1 inch on the two sides, we'll be arriving at our 21 inch waist circumference. All right. I've also folded the hem of this satin as well, and once I was done, I still achieved my 20 inches in length. This is what I achieved once I was done gathering it. So you want to also repeat this same process on all the layers, as many layers you are doing. So make sure everything is even. Mine was 23 inches, which is perfect circumference that I need. I'll be placing these two nets now on my satin. You want to make sure that the two nets you are placing on the satin is facing the right side of your satin. Okay, so that because the satin has this shiny part and the dull side. Okay, I made use of a dull face satin. So I'll be placing the other layer as well on this now, making it my second layer. So just go ahead and place this just by making use of your half inch. Then at the beginning part where the zip allowance will be, you want to make sure that your gathering does not get to that part, because that part will be hidden. All right, so you can just leave maybe that 1 inch for sewing allowance before you start your gathering. All right, repeat the same thing on both the satin and the net. So now this is the effect I got. Once I was done, I just placed it on my bodice. Remember, the bodice is 23 inches in circumference, and also the two nets is 23 inches in circumference. Also know that when you are fixing your two nets to the main bodice, you want to make sure you are fixing the two nets alone to the fabric, and you're fixing the lining alone also to the lining. Like you see now, I fixed my lining. I made it of a taffeta for my lining, and I fixed it on the lining. Okay, then once you're also fixing the main bodies as well, you're fixing the fabric to just that two nets. Okay, it helps in giving it a neat finish. Let's fix our zipper. Before attaching your zipper, you want to sew down the satin and the layers of the two nets together. Just the satin and the layers of the two nets together. So you want to pick the two nets. Remember, it's 2 steps. So you pick the two layers, the first one, the second one, you'll be pinning them to the satin alone. Okay, so once you pin them down, just take them to your sewing machine and sew the both of them down. But hold up, you're not sewing them to the end. Okay, you're just going to be stopping at that part where your zipper is going to be stopping as well. If you're sewing it to the end, once you're done, I don't like the stiffness it gives the tunic. It does not give it the space to blow out, you know, the way it looks on the front. So the back usually look funny. So I prefer to just leave it at that zipper part where I'll be stopping, at that zipper allowance where my zip, or where I'm going to start fixing my zipper. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the measurements now where I want my zipper to stop. So I've taken my measurements now, and from the waistline I'll be coming down by 10 inches. That's where I want all my sewing to stop for this zipper allowance. So I'll fix my zip from the waistline to 8 inches, but I'll be holding it down by 2 inches again. I'll explain that to you and what it does. So from my waistline, I'll be sewing up to my 10 inches mark, and I'll repeat the same thing on the other side as well. Remember, you're sewing just your two nets, the two layers of the two nets and the satin. We'll work on the lining separately as well. So now once I was done, this is what I had. From that waistline, I came down by 8 inch. I stopped there. Then from that 8 inch, I just sewed down 2 inches. Okay, so wherever you want your zipper to stop from your waistline, mark it. Then from where your zipper is going to start, go in by 2 inches and just close it up by 2 inch. You can even close it down, close it up by 1 inch. Okay, so I use 2 inch at this part here. You sew as if you're sewing your sewing allowance, but this time around you're not sewing it completely, you're not closing it completely, you just leave it halfway. All right, so we'll be fixing a zipper at this point. Now for this point here, you'll be sewing only the net, okay, so that it can still maintain its fluffiness and can still, bounce with ease. So you pick it, it's just 2 layers on one side, 2 layers, so that means you're picking 4 nets. This is 1, this is 2, this is the third one, and this is the fourth one. So you want to make sure that you hold this properly, and then you sew. Okay, so you just bring this down, make sure it is properly arranged. All right, then you sew it down with your 1 inch zip allowance. Once you're done, you want to take it out carefully, then pick the satin and pick the other side of the satin as well. So this part might be a bit technical, but just try and do this. Okay, just push out the net up the way, and then you sew. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and sew the net separately, sew the satin and the satin, pick the right side of the satin and the other right side, and sew as well. Then I'll also be fixing my zipper, then I'll get back to show you what it looks like. Okay, remember we're fixing the zipper on the fabric alone. I'll be using the lining to cover it up, just the way we sew a neat finished look. I sincerely apologize not for not using the pink ball dress to complete this tutorial, but I fixed the zipper on this white dress the same way I fixed it on the pink ball dress. So we'll be using this white dress now to complete this tutorial, alright? So the satin, and also I repeated on the same thing, and I made sure that all my sewing for this one stopped at this point. Now for the satin as well, this is it. I held the satin separately and I held the net separately, as you can see. So that if you don't want to go through this process, you can just overlook this part and sew it the normal way. Just run this thing that we did here, run it all through the end. Okay, then when you're done, you close it down the normal way you close your dress. Okay, but if you want it more fuller at the zipper part, okay, you want to sew the satin and the lining separately. Okay, so that the net rather and the satin separately, so that the net can have the fullness it needs. Okay, so once you're done now, we'll be fixing our zipper. Okay, fix your zipper the normal way we fix. The only difference time we are fixing it separately. Okay, we're fixing it this way. We're fixing it on the fabric for them and fix it on the lining. And for the lining as well, I also closed this part and left the opening for the zip. Okay, so I'll go ahead now and fix the zip and show you what it looks like once. I thought to show you how this looks before adding. I've attached the zipper. Can you see how the net is closing up this part? That's because of the way I joined it. So you want to join it this way, you can see. You can see it's closing it up because of the way it was fixed. Now, just in case you don't know how to fix the lining to this, so you want to open this up now. For the lining, you bring it out this way, then flip it. Remember, we left where the zipper is going to pass through at the neckline and the back. So that's the reason why we leave it. So you are placing the lining over the fabric. So you want to place the right side of the lining over the right side of the fabric. Then hold it down this way. And also sew. Okay? You just close it. Sew it down to close up what you have there. So you do the same thing on this other side as well. Flip it like this. Place your line and then you sew. Okay? You run your you sew it down till you get to this part. Okay, so once you are done as well, finish up the neckline as well, finish it up. So now I try to explain again so that I'm sure that everyone is in it. When you want to attach the lining parts, you'll be turning your fabric in, okay, so I can achieve this. So I've completed this now, and when I turn it out, this is what it looks like. And see how full this is. You can see the back is also looking full, and this is what the inner looks like. And you see how neat this looks, and this is the effect you want to have. So still the sleeve, there are different ways. You can just go ahead, place the right side of the back and the right side of the front together, and just sew it down like this. Or you can go in the way I prefer to do mine. I'll take the front and infuse it into the back this way. Then I'll go in to catch it, place it properly, and then sew. You can just rewatch the video to see what I did. Pick the front and I infused it into the back. So now this is what it looks like. I'll just go ahead now and sew this down by half of an inch. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side as well, and we'll be done with the ball dress. And voila, this is what we achieved. I believe you found the video helpful. If you did, give this video a thumbs up, share, comment, turn on post notification bell so you'll be informed whenever I post a new video. If you are interested in on how I achieved the ruffles on that sleeve, just comment on this video ruffles and I'll be dropping the tutorial video for that. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.